Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about page frames and questionnaires. By default, this is the screen you get when you start a new study, and as you can see we're starting on a canvas frame, which is this big blank space where you can drag and drop any elements and place them however you'd like. Page frames are slightly different. They can be found down here in the trial timeline window and added by clicking the plus next to page. On first glance, page frames look exactly the same, but when we start adding elements, we can see a big difference here. Elements on page frames are locked into certain fixed positions. You can rearrange their vertical position on the page, but you cannot change the horizontal position. They're locked into this template here. And this is how we're going to be creating questionnaires. So let's go through an example here. I'm going to start by just typing into my text box, welcome to the questionnaire. Okay, we can add pretty much the same elements as on a canvas frame. We just can't drag and drop them wherever we'd like as usual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a multiple choice question. And as usual, it prompts me to create a variable right away. So we'll call this MC1. And then you see we get a scroll bar on the side, and our first question is added to the questionnaire. If you look over to the right in the Object Properties window, the properties when looking at objects on a page frame are slightly different. And for comparison, I'll show you what a multiple choice looks like on a canvas frame. So I can drag it anywhere I want. The X and Y position looks slightly different here. So this is canvas, this is page. As you can see, we can change margins and padding instead of X and Y positions, but we can still do things like randomize the order, link these items to an array, show the header, and this is where we insert the actual variable value of our options. So same object properties when you scroll down, but slightly different positional styling properties. So one cool thing about page frames that we don't have on canvas frames is that we can shuffle the position of the questions on the frame. So let's say I had 4 or 5 multiple choice questions and I wanted them to be presented in a different order. We can go ahead and click Shuffle Position on Page. However, this text box will still be displayed at the very top because its position is not shuffled. So I'll uncheck that for now. We can also change the visibility and the active status of our questions. And this is super helpful for something like this. I'm going to show you an example question where I say, do you want to type your email? This is helpful for those surveys where maybe at the end you want to give people the option of submitting their email to sign up for a newsletter or to be contacted about future surveys. So I'm going to change my options to yes and no. And remember to change them in both places because they are not linked. Okay, so now I have my question here. Do you want to type your email, yes or no? And then I need to add a spot for the participant to actually input their email. So I'm using just the short input object, and I will call this email. And it's getting added below the multiple choice. And for my little header, I'm going to put thanks. Please type your email. Okay. Now remember, with these input objects, by default, it thinks you're putting in a number. So if you're not putting in a number, make sure you save that as text. And click Save Often as usual. As you can see, same properties when you scroll down here, but again, these very different styles for the page frame. So now what I need to do is create an event where if they click yes, this question for typing their email will pop up, but if they click no, nothing happens because they don't need to type their email if they had said no. So first thing I need to do is I need to change email, the question, this input here, to be invisible, and I just do that by changing it to false. On page frames, you can still see questions that you've hidden. On canvas frames, that's slightly different. If I had clicked, visibility 0, then it would be hidden from me as well. For page frames, if I change visible to false, I can still see it, but the participant will not. So let's create an event here to go ahead and show this question if they click yes. So this is going to be a frame event, and I'm going to call this show email. The trigger is going to be variable value changed, and the variable that I want to look at the changes for is multiple choice 1. Click next. And my action is going to be a control action requirement. So the requirement here is if. We can do this several ways. So we can say new value in variable, we can say select variable. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to hit select variable here. So if MC equals constant value string, because that's what I saved these as, yes. So what I'm saying here is if the value of multiple choice is yes, then I need to set an object property. The target here is that email object. The property I want to change is visibility. And because we're on a page frame, visibility is a Boolean variable. So we're going to change it to true. On canvas frames, it can be numeric. So I would say visibility equals 1. But on page frames, it's true or false. All right, and that's all we have to do here. So if the multiple choice answer was yes, we're going to change email to be visible and click finish and save. And that's a quick example of how to use different elements on a page frame and how to look at those different properties. I hope this video was helpful.